Hi everyone, it is Teacher Ashlyn here for another mini lesson. This time the topic is connectors. So connectors are words that we use to show relationship between two sentences or two ideas, or maybe both. So let's look at a few examples. So we know that the purpose of connectors is to show relationship. But in showing the relationship between two ideas, we are doing that to show clearer how they are related and to clarify and to connect the two ideas. So connectors have a few different, there are a few different types of connectors. So let's take a look. We're going to go through each of these in more detail in just a minute, but here are the different types of connectors. We have connectors to show cause and effect, and we have connectors to show illustration, to explain something. We also have connectors, which are words to show emphasis. Some connectors are words that compare or show similarity, and some where we are contrasting, we're showing how they are different. We have connector words that will work through a sequence or an order of events. And we also have connectors that will show a conclusion or the end of something. Connectors can be at the beginning, the end, or even in the middle of two ideas or two sentences. Sometimes they keep the ideas as two separate sentences, and sometimes the connectors will join the sentences, making it one big sentence, which contains two ideas. Once we identify through this video, this mini lesson, once we can identify a few examples of connectors, it will be easier for you to see them or hear them in something written or a conversation, and then you will be able to notice that there are two ideas or more being discussed, and you will be able to see how they are being explained or how they are related. So first we will look at cause and effect. This example is, he went home, he didn't pack a lunch. That's one way to have these two ideas, two separate sentences. But using a connector, we would then say, he went home because he didn't pack a lunch. We still have our two ideas, he went home, he didn't pack a lunch, both are true, but we can join them together and show the relationship between the two. He went home because he didn't pack a lunch. He didn't pack a lunch, therefore he went home. You can say it both ways, but using the word because, that's how we would join those two ideas. The next example is using illustration or explanation, really giving more detail or telling why. So in this example, we have many resources at Wake Tech. The Burlington English Open Lab is open on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. So that is two ideas, two separate sentences. So to use a connector, we would say or write it this way. We have many resources at Wake Tech. For example, the Burlington English Open Lab is open on Thursdays. We're using the words for example to show that the resources at Wake Tech and one of those resources being the Open Lab, they are related. We're talking about the same topic here. It's one example of a resource. The next example will be a connector for emphasis. So in this example, two ideas. Fall is my favorite season. I love when the leaves change color. There is no connector here, so let's see what we can do to connect this. Then we can say, fall is my favorite season, especially when the leaves change color. So we are emphasizing one idea about fall, which is that we love this season, but mostly or especially because the leaves are going to change color and be so beautiful. So we take two sentences and then it becomes one sentence with especially in the middle. Okay, the next type of connector is using comparison. And I've chosen the comparison, the word like. This is tricky because we use like in a lot of ways. But this one is to show comparison. Think about something, a look-alike. You look like someone else. So think of it that way. My younger child wants to join soccer. Her older sister plays. Now, two ideas. We know it's about soccer. My younger child wants to play soccer. And we know my younger child's older sister, so my older child plays. But we don't have, it's not quite clear the connection. So let's connect these. So to connect them, we can put a word in the middle and say, my younger child wants to join soccer like her older sister. So we're showing here she wants to be the same. She wants to be just like her older sister. The next type of connector is contrast. So I chose the word however because I think you'll see it a lot. It's also, in this case, like how we use the word but. Might say something, but something else, showing contrast, showing a difference. So let's look at the example. Let's say we walk by a pet store. Maybe somewhere in Raleigh, there's a pet store that has all kinds of animals and fish and all kinds of things. We could say, that puppy is really cute. Dogs are a lot of work. Well, we know we're talking about dogs. We know we're talking about the same animal in this idea, but how can we connect these to make this a little bit smoother joining of the two ideas? So we could say, that puppy is really cute. However, dogs are a lot of work. That might be what you would tell your child or your spouse to say, yeah, that dog is cute. However, dogs are a lot of work, meaning the opposite idea. Very cute, like dogs, but we are not going to get one. However, we are not going to get one. All right, so next, almost the last connector example is sequence. So in this, we're thinking about order of things or timeline of things. First, second, third, last, something like that. This connector that I've chosen might be a little bit different vocabulary or new vocabulary for you. But without the connector, we can have two ideas that are, she didn't attend the party. She wasn't invited. So she didn't go to the party. She wasn't invited to the party. Let's see how we can connect those. She didn't attend the party. She wasn't invited in the first place. So now we know, we could say this a few different ways, but in this example, we know she didn't go, she didn't attend the party, she wasn't invited in the first place. So to begin with, she wasn't invited, so she didn't attend. But this is likely how we would have a conversation about this. Oh, did Joanne go to the party? She didn't go. She wasn't invited in the first place, which actually sounds a little bit rude, but this is one way that you will hear that type of answer is she wasn't invited in the first place. All right, the final example or group of a connector that I want to explain is conclusion. This one can be a little bit simple because we often use the word conclusion or conclude when we use it. So let's see an example. So often you will hear the word conclusion or conclude in a speech or written in an essay or a report. So it might be something like this. When the speaker or the writer gets to the end of making all the points, they might say, there is no evidence to support this case. Or maybe in a courtroom, there is no evidence to support this case. Now let's see when we use a connector. So using a connector, we might say, in conclusion, there is no evidence to support this case. And again, that could be spoken, like a speech, or it could be written like an essay or a report. In conclusion, there is no evidence. To conclude, there is no evidence. So you're really connecting all the ideas or all of your points to the final point, which is there is no evidence. So I hope that this was super helpful for you. There are a lot more connectors. I'm going to put a link as well that has a more full list. I was just giving you one example of each type, but there are really good lists, and I found one from, it's called FluentU, Fluent and the letter U.com. And someone named Architamittra, she wrote this list. So I want to give her credit for that and appreciate that she has this really great list with really good explanations and examples. A lot more than the information or the detail that I gave you. So I will put that link in with this video and also below it so that you can check out all the words on the list. And it's probably not a complete list, but it's almost 40 words, I think, which would be a great resource. So if you feel like looking into those a little bit more, or maybe you found them in Burlington, let us know. Let us know if you have any other questions. And as always, we hope that this was very helpful, and we'll see you again next week.